Hey, can I get this plant please? Sure, that'll be $5.50. Would you also like to get a pot, fertilizer, shears, soil mix, mister, moisture meter, humidifier, and grow lights to go with it? Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where I talk about indoor gardening on a budget. Before I got my first plant, I worried that I would end up having to spend a lot of money on tools and supplies to keep it alive, and it turns out I actually didn't need most of these things that I listed at the beginning. If you're a plant beginner, I hope this video will help clarify what you will actually need and show you that indoor gardening does not need to be an expensive hobby. Before we talk about the plant accessories and tools, there are two things you can do if you want to minimize spending. Number one, research the plant before buying it. If your home cannot provide what the plant needs, then either you will end up needing extra things to keep them alive, or the plant might not survive. So take some time to search up the plant and its requirements before bringing the plant home. What I did before getting my first plant was searching up beginner-friendly plants online and then specifically looking for them when I am at the shop. Because most beginner plants like pothos and spider plants are tolerant of different levels of light, temperature, and humidity. Number two, look for healthy plants in a pot with drainage hole. When you're at the shop, make sure that the plant you want to buy looks healthy. For instance, if you can see there's new growth, that is a good sign. In contrast, if there are many brown or yellow leaves, that's usually a bad sign. Also, make sure there's no insects or bugs crawling on the plant, otherwise you're more likely to need to buy additional things to deal with the pests. Also, look for a pot with drainage holes. A common killer of houseplants is root rot, which happens when their roots sit in water for too long. To prevent it, find a pot with drainage, so when you water the plants, any excess water will just flow out of the pot. Okay, now, assuming that you have a healthy plant that matches the humidity and light your home can provide, let's talk about the common plant supplies and accessories and whether you really need them at the start. Fertilizer? Yes, in the spring and summer. This is because plants need nutrients, which they get from the soil. Once they've taken all the nutrients from the soil, you will need to replenish the nutrients with fertilizer in the seasons that the plant is most actively growing, which is the spring and summer. Given that fertilizer are relatively cheap, it is something I would recommend getting. Watering can. It is convenient to have one, but you can get by with a cup or water bottle to get the job done. Mister. Some websites will say that certain plants like their leaves misted for the extra humidity, but from what I've read, it might actually not be effective, and you might be able to get away with not misting at all. So, to be safe, if you don't want to purchase a mister, you can specifically look for plants that don't need it. Decorative pots. Houseplants typically come in plain plastic nursery pots like these. They are often placed inside decorative pots that look better, but they can be very pricey. Usually, plants that are sold in their nursery pots alone will cost less than if they also came with a decorative pot. So if you're on a budget, get the plant in its nursery pot. Then if you want a decorative pot later, you can often find second-hand ones in many thrift stores or charity shops. Saucers. When you water a plant in a pot with drainage holes, some water will come out from the bottom, and it's going to carry some soil with it that will make your space messy. To prevent that, saucers are these trays that you can place underneath the pot to catch the water. I'd actually recommend them since they are relatively cheap for how much time they will save you in terms of cleaning up the mess. Shears. If you want to trim your plant for any reason, you can get away with a pair of clean, sharp scissors, unless the branch is very thick and tough. So hopefully you won't need to purchase a pair of shears anytime soon. Soil or potting mix. You will need this when you want to move your plant to a bigger pot, which you don't necessarily need to do right away. You might also need it if you want to change up the soil content for any reason, but most beginner plants are not very picky, so if that's the plan you're going for, then you shouldn't need to buy soil for a while. Soil scoop. It's convenient to have, but you can definitely get away with spoons in your kitchen. Moisture meter. This is another thing that's helpful to have, but not necessary. Here are a few alternative ways to tell when to water the plant. You can feel how dry or wet the soil is by putting your finger or a chopstick in. If it comes out clean, the soil is dry. If it comes out with bits of the soil stuck on it, the soil is still moist and the plant probably does not need water yet. Also, many plants will tell you when they need watering when their leaves droop. As you get to know your plants, you will notice that the pot is lighter when the soil is dry. So in conclusion, if you like to save some money on plant supplies and tools, then I would recommend number 1, research the plant before buying it and make sure your home can provide the level of light, humidity, and temperature it needs. Look for healthy plants in a pot with drainage hole. And after that, I would recommend saucers and in the spring and summer fertilizer. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more videos. Bye!